Hello, hello, you guys, and welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Laurken Kendall. I said that right? I second guessed
Hello.
myself as soon as
You
I said
said
it.
all of that right. It's okay.
Perfect.
I get called so many versions of that name. Larkin is what it is. That's correct.
Okay, beautiful. I knew it was, and then I said it, and I was like, no, what if that's incorrect? But welcome to the podcast, Larken. Larken and I have been trying
Thank
to
you.
get here for a second, and also my schedule is a nightmare. It's like the
Yep.
holiday, end of the year, wedding boom, everything. So I'm just so stoked to have you on and chat with you because, like we were just talking about, I honestly thought we had met in person until I saw your face, and then I was like, I knew you looked like that. But now that I'm having a conversation with you, we have not met in
Yes.
person, even though it's been years.
No, it's been years.
Okay, I would love for anyone who like lives under a rock and doesn't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, I am a mother of three children. I live on a farm, a 1,300-acre wheat farm in Eastern Washington on the Idaho border. And I am a wedding photographer. Somehow I have fallen into that. And so it's been like 8 years. It was a completely accidental move. And I also do a lot of education. I have my own little platform, Mother Photographer, that I'd show people how I do things, and if they're open to receiving that, then they hang in there for some months, or I guess eternity. I
Amazing.
don't know how it's going to work out, but that's what I'm doing right now.
Super cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about the accidental? I like love hearing about how people got into this career, especially because it's just
Yeah,
so different than it used to be. I've also been doing it for like 6.5, 7 years, and like it used to be so different. So I would love to hear how
it
you
used to
fell into
be
this.
something else. Well, what happened was, it's kind of a very long story, but I'll give you the cliff notes. I was evicted from my house by my husband's mother when I was 7 months pregnant, when we were expecting our second child. We had a 4-year-old and a 7-month-old. My husband lost his job, the farm. He's a farmer. And we entered into a lawsuit with her over the farm for 4 years. During that time, I had already I was waiting tables. I was like sort of aimless. So I was about
Mhm.
to have a baby. So I quit that. And then one, two, three, the dominoes fell one after another. And we found ourselves basically without anywhere to go and no job. So during the years that preceded that, I was posting a shit ton of photos of my kids to Facebook. We've all been taking photos forever. And some of us just, attract other people toward, they want us to do it for them. I kept saying, no, I'm not going to do it for you. I didn't feel comfortable like taking on it as work. But then when this happened to me, I sort of had no choice. And it was kind of like the universe just pushed me in a direction that I was initially pretty resistant to. So I thought, fine, I'll see how it goes. And it just snowballed from there. So I was doing a ton of families. And then I decided, you know what, let me try this wedding thing. So I got on Craigslist and I saw that people were asking for free wedding photos, and I was like, I don't have any experience, so we're kind of a great match, because I wanted to try it out and see if I was actually up to the job.
Mhm.
And it just went from there. It literally, I did like 3 free Craigslist weddings. Then I took my first wedding for $500 using those Craigslist wedding photos as advertising on Facebook, because I was only on Facebook at this time.
Mhm.
And then it just went. And like within 3 years, I was traveling the world photographing weddings.
Holy shit. That's like quite the pipeline. Like
It really
quite the
is. And
pipeline.
without that, yeah, and without the bad shit that happens, which is something I'm 35 now, so something I've really come to realize is that horrific traumatic time of my life was so necessary in my evolution toward my higher self, which is what we're all working toward now.
Mhm.
Just being the best version of ourselves that we can. But I never would have been a photographer without all of those things happening in a row.
Yeah. No, it's very much it's hindsight always, as everyone says, the cliche of like 2020, but it is crazy to look back on moments like that could have like that felt earth shattering. Like I just think about like the times in my life that felt like rock bottom and how those were easily the times where like the best thing ever was coming right around the corner.
Yeah.
Did you anticipate making it a full-time career, or did you think it was going to be like a let me do this until I get back up
It
on
was
my feet?
it was a side hustle. That's all it was. It was a side hustle. I was trying to supplement my income while my husband found a job, and he did eventually, because we had been living on our farm. It was his grandfather's farm, and when grandpa died, he left the farm to my husband with his mom as the trustee, and she is like a textbook 2020 narcissist type individual.
Great.
So she was like, I'm not doing any of that. I hate my children. They're out of here. I'm the queen of the world. So that's sort of the catalyst to the whole situation with me becoming a photographer. But I just thought it was for the moment. I didn't know it was for, a decade.
Did you, because I think one, I didn't know that story. That's so cool to learn. Thank you for sharing that. Did you,
Mm.
I feel like it also just gives so much context to your work and how emotional it is, which is my next question, which is like, how did you find your style? Is that it's very you. So I know it's like always been there, but like, did you very quickly figure out what your voice was within photography? Or was this kind of like a learning curve? What was kind of that journey
I
from
feel
doing
like
it
it's
to
like
full time?
it's a constant evolution. You know what I mean? First, it was like, when you start to do something, you're stuck on the technical aspects of how things work. But once you get comfortable with that, I started to really find my groove. I used to get so excited. This is the thing that I'm working toward now, because I think I've come into sort of a bit of a midlife crisis, a mid-30s crisis right now, where I feel like I kind of lost base with the reason why I do what I do. In terms of doing it for myself as an outlet. So it had that beautiful double effect of being a means of making money, but I also discovered myself and self-expression through photography. So I'm a big advocate for take your life and take what you're going through and use other people as conduits to express that, so that it's a little bit of them and it's a little bit of you. So it's a hugely symbiotic process, and I truly have built my business on that. I do
Mm,
think that photography is so empathetic, and it's so crucial that you try to get to know your subjects, and understand who they are and where they've been in order to better document them in a more truthful manner. But it also can be something that you're using them to say something about yourself. So there's things that I put in photographs that are like moments of my life, replayed, and I'm the only one that knows, which is
mm,
beautiful, and it makes it more personal, and it also lets me say things to people I want to, mostly my husband. When I used to struggle, we weren't, before we had really like worked out things about our marriage, we used to have this wall between us where I couldn't really express myself, but because I wasn't allowing myself to. So I was using photography to kind of work that out, and I would make these photographs of other people that were representative of things that had happened in my marriage, and kind of show them to him, and he would understand what I was saying. So it's
mm.
such a beautiful thing in that regard, and especially being a parent now, I approach it from a whole different perspective now that I'm really understanding how time affects me as a parent.
Ooh,
That
I
was a
would
very
love
long-winded ass
no.
response.
I love a long-winded ass response. It's literally the whole point of a podcast. So we love to hear it. So less questions on my end. I was gonna ask, what has your life changed a ton in the last several years? Well, I mean, everyone's life has changed a lot, especially in the last couple of years, but like how have you seen that manifest in your work since you do express like so much of yourself in your life situations through your work? How have you seen your work change and like how have you but still kept like a consistency? This is not the most well-baked thought, but like how have you kept a
That's
consistent
right.
portfolio but also expressed yourself so genuinely and emotionally as your life has changed? That's a better way of phrasing
Well,
it, I
I
think.
think I kind of I don't like consistency. I feel like we all, it's kind of puts you in a box, right? When you get stuck on that
Mm,
term consistency, especially I think with photographers, we get so stuck on editing. And that was because of social media, because of the 9 square situation where we were like, we can't change. We have to stay right here. People have to know what to expect. And yes, that does allow for a basis of trust without meeting the client first, because they know what they're going to get out of you. But what I do is I approach my clients as, I don't want your story photographically, visually, to feel like it could have ever belonged to anyone else but you.
mm,
I am moved by my subject. So I practice a very subject-led approach to photography, and I let them know that, like, yes, I might change my editing completely wedding to wedding. You should click on a blog post and it shouldn't feel like the one that came before it. And
mm,
I think that has helped. It's a reflection of my growth as a person and how I'm feeling at the time. I think that as artists, if you were a painter, you wouldn't paint the same shit over and over and over. You would have periods, right? You might have a blue period, you might have a floral period. And I think that to not allow ourselves to expand in that way is doing a huge disservice to who we are as human beings and who we are as business owners and what we can bring to the table for our people who are hiring us to be their eyes.
ooh, I'm obsessed with that because it's kind of a hot take. Like that's not like you
It's a
said, like
little
that's
bit.
kind of the antithesis of a lot of things that get said in the industry. And I think it's such a testament to the fact that like you literally can't do whatever you want in this industry. Like I think that's one of the things people get really, really like hooked on and like really like narrowed in on. I don't know. But like
Yeah.
they're like,
Well, it
I
really
need
stops
to,
their growth.
yeah, it really stumps their growth and they like feel like they need to do everything the way everyone else is, whether that's in tactics, technical terms, style, whatever. Whereas like you're literally even saying that you don't even have to have a consistent style. Like that can be your thing is the lack of
Yes.
consistency. Um, did you do that straight out the gate or like what was that like as you became such a big and amazing name in the industry as you should?
Oh, thank
Like
you.
I can always see that it's your work. I think that's one of my favorite things about you is that even though you do like not even search for consistency, the way that you capture your subjects is very, very noticeable and different. And in a way where like I can pick your photos out of a lineup. How
That's like
did
the biggest
you
compliment ever. Thank you.
it's yes, no, you're that's why I was so excited because I was so excited to hear about your artistic process because it is so clear that there is one. How did you, especially in the beginning, find communicating that to potential clients? Like, how did that narrative go?
Well, I didn't. That's what happened was I was just showing up. I was knowing what I wanted out of the situation, right? I was wanting that excitement. My favorite feeling used to be showing up to a session and then going manically crazy, shooting all the things. And I think we all have ADHD. Let's just blanket that and just say we all work from this place of like manic energy when we're in creative flow and when we're excited. So I would be jumping around, but I would be so excited to see what I got when I got home. It wasn't like I was really focused on getting one specific thing. It was like, for me, it's more like trying things. Like if I want to go through a double exposure phase, I'll just do a million different kinds of double exposure because I'm interested in that. And that really drives my creative process. Or it could be something different, like the people. I'm just so like they become muses sometimes, when you shoot someone and you're like, I
Mhm.
can't get enough of you. There's something about the way you hold your hands that just drives me wild. I want to photograph you a million ways. And it just spurs one thought after another. So that's what I used to be. I used to be this manic energy bouncing off the walls, and I still get into that. But the problem was that I used to hit walls with couples because I wasn't expressing. I didn't even know what I wanted, but I wasn't expressing to
Mhm.
them what the result could be. I wasn't expressing to them what my process was. I wasn't feeling the parameters of what they were comfortable doing. So when I would go in, I was never afraid to ask for them to do things, but when they would say no, it would crush my soul because I would have had something like in my mind that I was so fixated on getting. And when I didn't get that, it would ruin the whole rest of the experience for me. Even though maybe I wasn't outwardly showing it, the disappointment was something that I had to deal with. So I thought to myself, this also comes from me living so much in the masculine and realizing that I am about control and achievement and like making sure that I'm checking all the boxes instead of just living in being and accepting.
Mhm.
So that's what another side note of what I'm working on now. But from this need to control, I started doing this couples questionnaire with my clients where I'm sending everybody a questionnaire, wedding clients, family clients, couples clients, and I'm asking them, are you comfortable with nudity? Do you guys like kiss with open mouths in public? There's so many things that we need to know as photographers. And I want to know, how do you want your photos to feel? What are you going for? Because so much of photography for me, and I think I see it in the industry still, is about the photographer and not
Mhm.
about the subject. So that has been my evolution as I started out being about myself and just getting off on my own with the
Mhm.
photographs. Like, yeah, they would like it, but that was secondary to what I wanted. To
Yeah.
now I'm like, we are in this together. It's a symbiosis. And let me express to you why it's so important that it is this way and why my process hinges on this. So within that, I had to take control in a way that was like, hey, this is what I want to do. Let me meet you in the middle and tell you my ideas based on your comfort level and what you're wanting your session to feel like. So it became this stew of all of our ideas together. And then I performed based on that, as opposed to just going in there and running wild and
Mhm.
maybe pushing the boundaries of what they were comfortable with.
I love that. Do you That's always my response. It's like one of those things I have to catch myself saying because it's become my it's just like a really quick I love that. And then I go on to my
I love
actual
that. I
thoughts. I
know.
love that.
I do the same shit. Yeah, it's fine.
But I do love that. That is genuine. What have you found? I feel like the photography for ourselves versus like collaboration with our client pipeline, almost everyone goes through. Like, I feel like it's pretty rare for me to meet a photographer that's like, oh, it's always been about the client. Like, I don't care about the
Yeah.
artistry. Like, everyone kind of starts it
Yeah.
by loving photography, being upset or at least kind of crushed or embarrassed when their clients don't want to do a certain pose. As you've walked the pipeline to more of a collaboration based photography style. How do you feel that's changed one, your artistry, but also just like you as a person? Because I think that's, I know I won't, no, actually, I'm not going to answer for myself. I would love to hear from you.
I think that it's opened my eyes in an empathetic, it's moved me more into an empathetic style of photography, because I always was more hung up on what I wanted to get out of it. And I really I wanted them to be happy, of course, but I
Mhm.
didn't take their feelings into consideration, how they wanted their photos to feel, who were the people that were attending these weddings that were like the stars of their life that I needed to give extra time to. Those were not things that I was asking 6 years ago, like I am now. Now I go up to mom and dad on the wedding day and I'm like, Mama, what can I give you that's a portrait of your child today? Because as I have watched my oldest son, he's about to be 14. I'm like, holy shit, this is going to be me. And I'm going to be pissed, because I also conversely have a no parents policy. Like, your parents are not going to email me. However, I still want them to feel included. So I'm going
Mm,
to go up to them and I'm going to just sweetly butter them up, because I want them to feel like they were part of the process. Because I'm going to be fucking furious if my husband or my son's photographer doesn't really take into account the fact that this is a huge day for me. This is my child, and he's having a huge moment in his life. And I also, I mean, like, it's part of my evolution as a human.
mm,
So I think that this process has, and being a mother too, has really affected my photography in a huge, huge way. But in the last year, I've really, really had my eyes open to being more empathetic of what the couple wants out of
mm,
their wedding photos. And I'm not talking a Pinterest board. I'm talking like, who are the people that you love? Put their names down so that I can see where they're sitting, so that I can understand your relationship with them and how they've affected your life. I want to know these things. So with my couples, I'm going through this really long process of being involved with them all the way from A to C. I don't just show up on the day and take photos or reach out to them a month before. I'm with them every step of the way. But I don't force myself either. I'm like,
mm,
hey, I'm here. This door is open. You can walk in anytime and I'll be available for you. Um, but it's just really, really about collaboration, like you're saying. And I used
mm.
to just be a one-man show. And I think also from social media, we are all, photographers think that they're fucking rock stars, but you are doing humanity a service, and you need to recognize that it is a huge responsibility to document someone's wedding or life at any period of time, because they will never get back.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It is a social media has changed the landscape of it so much, which I don't know about you, but when I first started, social media was like, it was a thing, but it wasn't like this. Like it was something
No.
we checked like maybe once a day.
Mm-hmm.
How have you I'm trying to decide where I want to go next. Where you do have such an intentional and personalized approach to getting to know your couples and wow, incorporating their story and their feelings and their emotions into your photography, that can be a lot, right? To like take on so much human emotion. I think that's also like that's one of the reasons why I stepped out of weddings after my divorce, because I was like, I can't even take the emotional way of weddings anymore. Like it was, and I was
Yeah,
like, that's a disservice to my clients. Like it's a lot of emotional work to be a wedding photographer. And I don't think people
absolutely.
just getting into the industry don't realize how many good and more negative or hard emotions you're going to witness, and that can take a personal toll on you. How have you balanced, the most long-winded question ever, have you balanced such an empathetic approach to weddings with having a personal life, being a mom, being a wife, making sure that you're not burning out or that you're not, having such a huge emotional exchange with your clients and like making sure you still have a full cup at the end of the day? What has that
I
process kind of been like
haven't.
for
I haven't at all. And so that's where I'm at right now. When
you?
I'm talking about being in a midlife crisis, I have woken up this year. And here, I think that we can all, in the wedding industry, and I think just generally speaking, when 2020 shut everything down, we suddenly had this basket full of work that had to be dumped into another year. So it
Mm-hmm.
was like double the work, double the responsibility. For me, I travel for 99.999%. I do not work in my own state, so I live on an airplane. So last year, I realized a couple months ago that I had somehow shot 34 weddings between September of 2021 and end of October of this year. And I have never photographed that much, but I could not figure out why I knew I was going too much, but I have just been exhausted. I have been burned out. There have been clients, they got the best of me on the day of. And I am proud to say that. Like, I show up and I I fucking work. I leave it all at the door. But in my client experience, those people who have been in that, there's some of them that didn't get everything that I give to so many others. And that was a huge wake up call for me, because I just felt like this is not fair. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to my family. It's not fair to those couples. So what I had to do was, for 2023, I said, I'm not doing this again. 2019 was beautiful. And then everything went to shit. So I've been so unhappy. I haven't been caring for myself. I haven't been doing any like self-work. I stopped meditating. I stopped going to the gym. I was just work, 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 work. And I also homeschool my kids. So it's been a
Laurken.
lot.
Oh my God.
It's been a lot. That's a whole other part of my life.
You're a literal superhero. I can't even wrap my head around that.
Well, but I also dive without thinking. And I've really become aware of that. How I say, oh yeah, I can do that. That'll be easy. I'll just hop on a plane here. And 3 days later, I'll hop on a plane. It's no big deal. I'll get rest the next week. But I don't operate that. My operating system is not made for that sort of a hustle culture. And I've come to really realize that. So what I did for 2023 was I said, I don't feel like I can say no to inquiries. So I'm outsourcing it. So I hired an assistant who's magic. And I said, if you see that I'm booked, unless it's something like, wild and you think I need to look at it, don't show it to me. Send out my booked email with my referrals. And I don't even want to know that it came through, because I'm such a yes person, and we get these beautiful love letters, and it's like people who have been following you for 5 years, and they knew since they were, this age, that they wanted you to photograph their wedding before they even had someone. And it just tears at my heart, and I will say yes. And I know that enough about myself to say, I'll say yes. So I decided I'm taking one a month. So I'm actually doing 13 for the year. And that's
Amazing.
it. I'm not doing anymore. And I want to do other things. I love education. I have so many ideas for stuff that I want to do, and I don't allow myself time. And also I need time to be inspired. I'm big into human design. I know, but I
What are
love
you?
it. I'm a projector.
Ooh, what are your
I need,
lines? The number, is that what they're called? The numbers?
I don't know what I know I'm a 6/2 life path, and
Okay.
I'm an emotional projector. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know much about it. I just know that
I know
I've
enough.
studied what the projector means,
Mm-hmm.
and it's validated a lot of things about me, and also helped me correct things, which has been really amazing. I've never been into Enneagram or any shit like that. I read horoscopes for fun.
Love.
But for some reason, human design just spoke to me, and I also use it to parent my children. I really ignore the life path stuff, but just the categories are so fascinating, and I find them to speak so much truth to who everyone is. And it's really, really revolutionized the way that I raise my kids as well.
That's super fucking cool. I also am just very fixated on the fact that all of this is combined with you being like homeschooling your kids. I cannot wrap my head around that. That is amazing.
No, we don't do like a curriculum. We are what I would call an eclectic homeschool. We unschool. So I am whatever my kids want to learn about, that's what they learn about. We're very child-led, and whatever their interests are, my goal is to just facilitate them and chasing that for however long or short it is, and then moving on to the next.
Love that. That's an amazing gift to give your children. That is phenomenal. I really, really love that.
I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yeah, that's really cool. I would take that and implement that if I ever wanted kids, but for now I'll just cheer you on from the sidelines. That's really beautiful.
I appreciate it.
What's next for you then? It sounds like there's been a lot of growth and changes, and like you said, I think no one's entering 2023 the same person they were in 2019, which obviously everyone changes year to year, but the last 3 years have been a lot of change. So what are you looking forward to next, both as a business owner and a human being?
I'm looking to rest. I'm looking to rest so that I can step into creative expansion, because I need it. 2020, I'm going to be honest with you, this is the best year of my life. It was the best year of my life because I had time. I started painting and I started writing again, and I realized, oh my God, I have interests. Whereas before I wasn't working near as much, but I still was giving myself over to it way too much. And then 2020 was, you had to stop. You had no choice but to stop. And I learned so much about myself. And then I just went full swing, full bore into 2021 to now. And I feel like I've just had an expansion pack thrust upon me, which is great. I've learned a lot of hard lessons this year about how I don't want to be, how I don't want to run my business, but also I've learned so much about how I do. So I'm implementing those things going forward. I am trying to just really focus on just being and not forcing anymore, not pushing my way through life, not worrying. I really just want to be right now in this minute here with you and not try to pass judgment so much on myself, and just
Mm.
rest.
I love that. That is so beautiful. And I think something that create humans in general, but like creatives really need to hear is just like how needed rest is and
So
recharge
true.
and presence. And like, I feel like we're always so focused on the next like portfolio piece or booking or job or
It's just the hustle,
scaling.
man. It breaks you. It
It
absolutely breaks your soul.
really does. It really does. So I love that. That is a perfect lead into the last question
I love
I
it.
always ask our guests, which is one of my favorite things to just ask people. It doesn't have to be work related, but what is the best piece of advice anyone has ever given you?
The best piece of advice anyone has ever given me.
It's a big loaded
That's a
question.
huge question. That's a really, really massive, massive question. Um, I think that the first one that comes up to mind right now is because I'm doing a lot of work on myself with a woman, with an energy worker actually,
Love.
which is something that I had to silence my skeptic. I still work on silencing my skeptic, and my ego is like, this is stupid, but the rest of me is benefiting so much from it that I'm like, shut the fuck up and get back in your box. So I would have to say that she told me to just what she said to me was, what if you just allowed yourself to be whatever that is in the moment and stop trying to judge or force or make yourself move into the next thing because you think you have to? Because what's happening this month is I got sick, and then like all these things happened, and we went on a trip, and I came home and I told her, like, I'm just not ready to go back to my gym routine. I feel tired. I don't want to work. I want to go sit and watch a movie with my kids, or I want to hang up these pictures that I keep putting off because I'm like, nope, can't do that until I check my boxes. And she's like,
Mm,
what if you just let yourself sit and your body receive rest and your mind receive rest until you were full, and then you moved on? And I thought to myself, like, that is the most simple, this most simple thing would just to be like, this is how I'm feeling today. Okay, this is what we're doing. We're not going to sit in judgment of it on some other level in our mind. We're just going to accept that this is what we need.
mm,
And I have given myself permission over the last 3 days to do that. And it's been wonderful. And I don't feel like I'm getting behind. I keep saying, nobody is actually waiting on me. I'm just the one
mm.
that's putting deadlines on myself.
I that's like that's it. That's the quote. I'm like, that's
Okay.
so good. That just like idea that we are really the only deadline we set. Like no one else is ever going to hold us to those standards in the way that we hold
No,
it to ourselves. And I think that's
no.
such a beautiful way to approach the new year too. Just this
Yeah.
idea to slow down and actually just be. Cause
I'm
like,
hoping to hang on to that because I know, then we get out of the loop again, and then I'm right back into old programming, and I'm trying to just be like, shh, stop it. We're not, shut up. And the more I become aware of it, the more I become aware of it. You know what I mean? Like the more that I'm
mm,
like, ooh, I literally try to control every aspect of my life because I live in fear of things
mm,
going wrong or the unexpected. And I understand that that comes from so many different points in time, but how our body takes that and reprograms us to try to prevent all those things going forward is insane. Even to the smallest thing, I'm now aware of how much control I try to take over everything.
I'm a similar type of, I'm like very type A. I'm a type 1 Enneagram. I'm a Capricorn rising. Um,
Mm.
and do you do inner child work?
Okay, here's the thing is I'm now doing it, but I was so resistant because I'm so resistant to, I mean, and I did not realize that I was like, like
Mm-hmm.
side-eyeing everything, every little word, like manifestation or inner child work. It was the term that I was resistant to. It's
I
the
get that.
terms.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the work, but I honestly thought I'm good. Like I'm fine. I moved on from all that. I don't need to, like, I don't feel like I carried it around until I realized that I absolutely do. And now I'm like, fuck, man. Now I have to just really face myself and things. But one of the other things that she told me that was so beautiful, she's like, it doesn't have to be work. You can just look at it and say, it's there. And that's it. You don't have to do the what, the how, because that's how I am about things. But she was like, you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to do any of that. You
It can
just
just be a
say,
thing.
there it is. And it's a part, and you understand where it comes from, and you release it. And it's a momentary thing. It's not something that takes years of therapy to work on if you don't want it to be. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm just like saying, oh, didn't know that was there.
And it's there.
Now I recognize it, and now I understand how it affects me, and bye.
Yeah. No, I think the word work is very daunting. And one of my favorite things that I do, and I have like almost every single coaching client do when they first start, is usually we do have those traits about ourselves. Like you're saying, like, I have to have control of things. Mine is very similar. I like feel like I always have to have control. And I also feel like I have to prove myself constantly. And so over the years of therapy and also just sitting with myself during the pandemic, I was like, where did that start? Like,
Yeah.
what version of me did that start with? And there was like a very specific 18-year-old version of me that I held like a lot of resentment for like making the wrong decisions and marrying my ex. And I was like, I hold so much just like hatred or like resentment towards that version of myself. And I think as inner child work goes, we always think of like a toddler, or like we don't realize it's just like a younger version of ourselves.
Oh
And so
yeah.
one of the things I did, and I always have my coaching clients do if they can identify like what it is that's holding them back or that's coming up that they're not liking, is identifying the age that they can kind of tell maybe that started or something happened or there was a big event where it really manifested, and then like getting a photo of that age, like getting a photo of you when you were that age and putting it on your desk. And at first it was so uncomfortable. Like I remember I got like my freshman college ID and I had it on my desk and I would like look at her and I was just like, I don't like
Be
you.
like, I hate you. I
Yeah,
hate
I was like,
you.
you made so many bad decisions.
You stupid
Um,
bitch.
no,
Yep, I
literally
know.
it was
I
big
feel that
that.
so deeply.
Yeah. And then I was like, wait, that's me. Like, that is literally just me talking to myself and saying that I'm the stupid bitch. And like, it became like this practice of like you said, it doesn't even have to be work, but just like seeing her and being able to be like, hey, I love you. Thanks for doing your best. And
Yeah.
just like sending love towards her. And I think inner child work, yeah, like you said, kind of it has a weird connotation sometimes. I think people envision it as like this really weird work of like
Yeah, because
sitting with.
it is the work. It's the word work that we're like, oh,
Yeah.
we don't want to crack that egg open. We already taped that back
Uh-uh.
together. It's fine. But I
Mhm.
feel the same way because I used to be a drug addict, a gambling addict, and then I got pregnant at 21, and my son sort of saved me from myself in that period of time.
Mm.
But I was stealing things. I was like a totally different person. And of all the people that I've been in my life and all the people that I will be, I think I learned so much from her,
Mm.
that girl that was doing all those things. I learned so much about myself from what she was up to. So at this stage, I there's still little things that I work to be like, oh, we can let that go. That's okay. Like
Mm.
I made that mistake, but it's okay because here we are now. And I feel it's mostly about mothering for me. It's mostly about the
Mm.
things that I did at the beginning of being a mother, that I hold a lot of shame with myself. So working
Mm.
to forgive that person has been harder, I think, than anything that happened during childhood.
Mm.
Where because I think that was the issue, as I was saying, childhood is childhood, but it's not. It was
It's
really
just a different
my
version.
late teens, early 20s that I needed to work on big time. And that version of myself was not great, but also she is the reason that I am where I am.
I love the idea of just like thinking of what you learned from them, those
Mm,
versions of ourselves, and like how, yeah, I always think of that version of me is the reason I'm here. Like
yeah.
that's how I got here.
Yeah.
She's that a very, I don't maybe didn't love the path, but she chose it and it still led here. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really beautiful way of thinking of it. Thank you so much, Larkin, for coming on
Thank
and sharing
you. Thank you for having me.
so many like beautiful nuggets of wisdom from everything personal to business. I mean, that's the whole premise of the podcast, but it's always like such an honor to witness and hear. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you so much, Eden. I had really had a good time. I would do this 1,000 times. It was so
No,
good. And I'm
same.
glad that
Well,
it lined up.
no, me too. We'll make it an annual tradition.
I love this.
Yeah, we love that. Can you let us know where we can find you on the internet? We'll link everything in the show notes, but so they can hear it from you as well.
Yes, I'm super negligent on my social media as far as posting goes, but I am in my stories pretty regularly. So at Laurken Kendall, and it's Laurken. It's Lauren with a K. My sister's name is Lauren, so my younger sister. So my mom blew her creative load when she dropped that K in my name. So it's Laurken Kendall, and then I'm larkenkendall.com, or you can go to motherphotographer.co if you want to see my little membership education platform. I got a really
Amazing.
amazing group of women in there.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much,
Thank
Larkin.
you,
It was
Eden.
amazing to meet you. I hope that we get to cross paths soon. Let me know if you're
I
ever in New
know, in the
York.
flesh. I absolutely will. You're
Yes, no,
incredible.
truly. Okay, it was so nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
You
And thank you
too.
guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.